Hello, Letty.
Hi, Daryl.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
How you doing?
We're doing good.
Good.
Yeah. How are you doing?
Good. This is about the 6th or 7th take. We can't stop
It's
laughing.
fun.
It is. So you have been gracious enough to come in and share a bit about your testimony today, and your Christian walk and your walk with God and how that came to be.
Yeah.
That's why we're here today. You're happy to share about that with us?
Yes, I am. Thank you for having me first and foremost. And it is such a privilege to be on your podcast and just to share, my little journey. Not little, goodness, it's never little, with Jesus and how he's changed my life from a young age. And I feel as growing up or growing as an adult, there have been milestones where a lot of change has happened in between as well, because you need to grow, right? When I was 16, I officially accepted Jesus into my life and into my heart. But the journey there was a bit of a journey leading up to that. Both my parents were quite involved in the church, but they were involved in separate entities. So I'm originally from South Africa. We moved to New Zealand 7 years ago. And my mum is a proud South African black woman. And my dad is a very proud traditional white farmer. So back in the day in South Africa, when I was born, in the time that I was born, apartheid was quite ripe in the country. So for those who don't know what apartheid is.
I was just going to ask that. I got an idea, but what exactly is it? Yeah,
so that's pretty much where the black and white community do not mix or mingle at all. It was quite severe in South Africa during that time. There were signs where bathrooms, there was whites only bathrooms, there were blacks only bathrooms. In that period, it was governed by a white government, white-led government. So they would think that, black people were oppressed at that time by the dominacy of the white culture. But funny enough, times have changed in South Africa, and it's quite reversed now as well. But that's like a different topic on its own. So when I was born in a time where it was unacceptable for two different races to be together. It was illegal to be together. So when my mum and dad met, and when I came, when I was born, I was like a secret love child. And I stayed with my mum, and my dad would come and he would visit, because he was also part of a very traditional family where they were deeply rooted in Afrikaans traditions and beliefs and values. And they were an esteemed family name in their community as well. So when I was born, it was a bit of a shameful act that my parents did, or what my father had done. And so I was hid from his family, from the community, and I stayed with my mother and my mum's side of the family. And it was all like rural, like we come from a rural area, so it's all farmlands and all of that. So I think I was probably knee-high when I first saw a town or a city. It was very, I was very like put in a corner, if I can put it that way. But I grew up in a very loving environment, and in the sense of my mum's side of the family it was a very tight-knit family, and we all cared for each other, and my cousins cared for me, and I was like the only light skin colored person on that side of my family, and I was a dark skinned person on my dad's side of the family. So, like growing up, it was hard finding a spot of acceptance, of like in the community and amongst people as well. So when I came to age of going to school, we moved in with my dad, but it was still under that same. And at that time, that's when apartheid had just ended, but it was still it was still ripe in the community, you know, like people still held on to their beliefs. It was a hard change for the country to go through, but it was a very needed and necessary change for them to go through.
So how did the apartheid end? Was it a government decision, or is it just like a gradual?
So if you've ever heard of Nelson Mandela,
Who hasn't?
he was the first black president that people voted for that to happen in the country. So 1994 was the big vote. He came into presidency, and that's when the shift and it was a very sudden shift, you know. They banned the laws of two different things, like two different cultures or races. That was banned. They, you know, and what birthed from that was even today you'll hear it often from the South African side. It's a rainbow nation. You know, we are a diverse nation with 11 official languages. There are different cultures, even from the black side and from the white side. You know, there's the Indians, there are the coloreds, there are, you know, so it's really a diverse country. And it has taken, I mean, like racism is still there, it's still evident, but I feel like it's global as well. You know, it's all about how people choose to perceive other races, you know. So but I feel like I was very fortunate where, and like looking back, I could see God's hand on my life of where He put me in places and spaces and amongst people who always accepted me, you know. And but I'm not saying that I didn't, that there weren't moments where I was rejected because of just like the color of my skin, you know. When I started going to school, my first couple of years, I was in a private school because that was like something new for my parents to juggle with as well. And within that school, I was bullied because I was called names because it was new for everybody as well, of like, okay, like we are mixing, schools are mixing now, you know, children are mixing now in the school environment as well. And, you know, and children were growing up listening to their parents and following what their parents' beliefs were. So, yeah, so it's been, so it was a journey, and then I was moved out of there, and I was moved into, funny and oddly enough, into a white rural farm school where I didn't know the language, I didn't know how to act in their ways, you know, and it was something new for me at a very young age to adapt to. But I was accepted with so much love and so much kindness and
nice.
And so much patience. I was surrounded with people who took the time to teach me the language and to teach me the ways and to teach me the mannerisms and all of that. And it really caught on very quickly. So back to like the home life. We were still kind of living in two separate ways because my dad was much older than my mother, so he was still kind of stuck in his traditions, and he would go to a very traditional, dare I say, religious church, you know, where they were like, you know, you need to follow the rules and like these are the commandments and you need to act a certain way and you cannot like be too glamorous or boisterous in your worship and you're singing out of the hymns and, you know, so it was a very strict strict way of church living. And my mum, she went to a Methodist church, and I would often go with her. But she was really a person. Both my parents were two examples of one being consistent and you know, being consistent with what you believe in. That I got from my dad. And my mother showed me the compassionate way, the loving way, the grace-filled way of being in a relationship with God, you know. So I had those two exposures in my life. So God has always been evident in my life, and I've always seen, but I never really encountered the Holy Spirit until we moved to church, and we went to a very rural church that was very similar to the church that we go to, very similar ways of teaching God's word, and also, you know, teaching us of there's more than just reading your Bible every day. You know, it's a walk of relationship, but also it's a walk of growth. It's a walk of, you know, going deeper into your relationship with Jesus, and also learning the different characters of God. You know, having Him allow you to seek Him in those characters. Yeah. So that was me when I turned. That kind of grew in that church environment when I turned 16, and then also in that same time. But also my journey leading up to that was a very lonely journey in a sense of companionship. You know, like I was obviously, like, you're growing as a child into into adolescence, into being a teenager and all of that, and throughout my school years I was always like the odd one out within a group, because it's like, oh, this one has a bestie and all of that, which like now I'm like you know, like there's so much other things in life that are like, wow, that we could delve on those. But looking back, like being a child, like having my own children and seeing them navigate friendships really showed me that like I looked back at my life at that young age, and it was, you know, I was always seeking, well, I'll get there, but yes, I was always like the friend, like on the outside of the group. So it was hard finding somebody that I could connect with, because I was always like the only mixed race girl in my primary school, and then we moved on to high school and I was still the only mixed race girl there, you know, and it was odd, and people were still navigating like the idea of being in a mixed.
So you found it hard to integrate because of being mixed race?
Yeah.
That was the whole reason?
Yeah, it was. And then you start like looking towards yourself of, oh, like, is there something wrong with me? You know, like, and then you start like blaming. Like, there was a point in my life where I was like, God, like, you could have just chosen like one or the other. You know, why mix me up? You know, but I learned even during those like teen years, God really put like favor on my life of, you know what, I am different and it's okay to be different, and He made me to be different. You know, and I achieved quite a lot in all aspects, you know, like, I remember one friend saying like, wow, Letty, like you just put your mind onto something and you just succeed, you know? And that was like always the drive that I had. I was like, yeah, because that is like the person that I am. I put my mind on something and I go for it and I achieve it, you know, and then I put like the next thing. So I was like an overachiever in a lot of things in my life, but so that was like the works of it. But like the internal side was like I was lonely, you know. And I remember like when I met Jesus, I was like, my prayer was, Lord, just give me a friend. Like, just give me someone that I can just like, I don't know, hang out with or just confide in. Because something from my family side was, my dad had a whole other side of the family. He had another family. So I have a half sister.
Like a secret family, you mean, or?
Well, we were the secret family. Wow. But he was already separated at the time that him and my mum met. But because of apartheid and because of the racial thing, and because it was like, oh, frowned upon, that how did you know, go into relations with a black woman, you know? He kept me secret, and he kept his relationship with my mother a secret from that side of the family. So I, you know, like I was lonely at home as well, because I grew up like I never had birthday parties at home. I had never, because my dad was like, he was a very prideful person in a sense of, you know, he has a name in the community, and if they ever had to find out he has a mixed colored girl or a mixed race daughter, you know, he will be shunned. So I was always like, I never had play dates, nothing. Nobody came to our house. If somebody came to our house, I had to hide away. So it was quite intense.
Wow.
And also because my sister's side of the family, they stayed quite close to us. So he didn't want there to be any connection because he was afraid, like it was a secret that he kept for a very long time. So then, but our church community at that time, they knew everything. They didn't support the idea of it, but they respected it to be like, you know, when you guys are ready to share this openly, we are here to support you and navigate you through this. And at that time, so when I started asking Jesus, Lord, just give me a friend that I can confide in, who will not judge me, because my whole life long I've been like judged in the community and judged amongst friends. And, you know, like I also had crushes on boys, you know, as like what a young girl would have, you know, but I was never good enough for them to like, oh yeah, let's date, you know, like, which I think today is like, the Lord knew. He didn't save just me, he saved those boys too. I think I was a handful at that time. But
no, sure not.
but yeah, and then Kevin came into my life, whom is today my husband, you know, and he was...
So, yes, I should point out here that I interviewed Kevin a couple of podcasts back, and he is your husband.
Yes.
Yes, so that's how I know you from. I didn't mention that at the start, that I just realised I know you from church, and your husband Kevin from church.
That's how it all connects.
So you sing in the worship team, you also run kids' church. Yeah. And Kevin is the drummer in the worship team.
Yes, and he's my partner in crime at kids' church when tech stuff doesn't want to work, then I'm like, help.
So sorry, carry on.
Yes. So that's where all of that pieces together. And he was going through his own family things where his family immigrated to New Zealand, and he chose. That was like, okay, no pressure. Like, Lord, I only asked for a friend, and now you've brought me a husband. But okay. At that time, in that same period, his parents had decided to move to New Zealand, and he was like, I've met my wife. I'm not going. And he was 19 at that stage, and I was 16. So it was but I just had such a peace in my heart of like, you are my person. Like you are my person. We are total opposites of each other.
Yep.
but we complement each other so well. And there was a period where I was questioning God about this man, about this relationship, and
your boy.
Casey, go sit down, my love. You were almost done. Okay, you just sit there. Just sit there. And so where was I? Yes. Yeah. So then we met. He stayed, and we navigated. Like our journey together. He ended up, because he joined our church community. And he comes from a church journey as well, and from a religious journey as well. But that was the same season where he also accepted Jesus into his heart. So it was really like God putting us together. And obviously, like, we didn't get married at that stage, you know, but we just, like, we were companions and we grew together. And he didn't have his parents. And I was navigating my life as, you know, like a colored girl, but my parents accepted him with loving arms, and so we just grew on that journey together. But then I finished school. I went to uni, but there was also again looking back, I'm like, oh, like God he was throwing up all the signs for me to change this route. But, you know, the stubborn-headed person that I was like, nope, I'm going, this is my choice of university, I'm going to study this. And, you know, and I ended up getting involved with like the wrong crowd. And I also, at home, things were very unsettled as well. The relationship between my parents wasn't very good. They were never married. They were engaged, but at that time they had chosen to just separate. So it was a very emotional time as well. My dad fell ill a couple of times where we thought he was meeting Jesus, but then he would come back. There was literally one morning where we woke up with a phone call from the hospital and they were like, he's passed away, and I'm in tears. But let me get to this other, because I'm going ahead of myself. So he was in hospital for quite a while. And we didn't know like what was happening. And so a church member who was also my dad's very good friend told him, listen, this secret that you are carrying in your life is actually poisoning your body. Your daughters are old enough to actually handle this truth. Everybody is old enough to handle this truth and strong enough to handle this truth. You need to come out with it. It needs to come to light, you know. And so he mediated this whole thing, and I was such a coward. So I've always had my sister's number on my phone, just for the sake of maybe one day, you know, something happens and I need to confront her. But I was given a heads up beforehand that from this friend, listen, we're going to call your sister. We're going to tell her everything. We're going to tell her about you, about your mum, about, you know, like this whole family life that your dad has been like leading. And we're just going to, you know, have your dad just be set free from this lie, you know, from this secret. And I was like, okay, I'm ready. Hold on, like, let's put on our seatbelt. I'm ready. And so they spoke with her. I wasn't there. It was all done in my dad's hospital room. And so on my way to a friend's house, she phoned me and her name was on, and I was like, and I stopped in the middle of the road and I got such a panic attack because I was like, this is actually happening. Like, she's actually phoning me. And I didn't take the call because I was such a coward at that time, and I was scared because, you know, she's much older than me, and I just pictured myself in her shoes of how do you accept this truth of you've had, like, your dad has had a whole secret family for nearly 20 years, because at that time I was going for I was almost 20. But we ended up meeting up. And it was the most awkward. It was so awkward because she was angry and disappointed and confused, you know. And I was just like, I don't know really what to say or what to do. Like, this is not. And I was like, this is not my fault, really. Like, I didn't create this situation. But our dad and his well-being became our common ground of, you know, well, we don't always have to agree on certain things, but he's our person between us that we have to, like, focus on. And so I inherited a older sister and she inherited a younger sister, and when I was pregnant with my first child, Aaron, my dad passed away, but we were on such a good term. Like, it was like God really came and he restored healing, and he brought closure to both of us, and we could really lean into each other, because funny enough, like, she had a very similar upbringing as to what I did, but in a whole different sense. But that's also a story for another time. But before that, when she found out about me, a lot of things got exposed. And I went through a bit of a rebellious stage, and that went on for like probably a good couple of years, where I had parked my relationship with Jesus because I was dealing with so much anger, because it's like all the seeds that it felt like all the seeds that had been planted throughout my childhood were now popping up. And it was like, oh, because of your decisions. And I blamed my parents quite a lot. I was like, because of your decisions, you know, I've always been rejected. Because of you choosing to hide me, I never feel good enough. Because of, you know, I'm always pushed out in group environments. You know, I'm not accepted. So it's a lot of doubt in my own identity was very present at that time, you know, and so I parked Jesus. I parked the church, you know, and I was like, I don't care anymore, you know. So I did like bad things with a bad group of people from uni. It nearly cost my relationship with Kev as well. I nearly died in a car accident. My mum was like, listen, if you don't, like God had given her a dream. And I was not, I didn't share anything with her. Like I didn't share what I was up to. I would just say, I'm just going for a sleepover at Jenny's house. And then I was not at Jenny's house, you know, but then, yeah, I nearly died in a car accident. And there I had an encounter. I had an encounter with God, but it was through a person that he was the first person on the scene. And I was freaking out. And everything was just like, everything just went so quickly. And I just felt like, I was freaking out within myself, and I was freaking out like everywhere. And just, you know, it just felt like my world was crumbling down around me, but in like all sense, you know, like with my dad, with like what I was doing in uni, I was throwing my life away and all of that. And this person at the car crash, like he was the first, I don't even know where, like up until today, I believe that was an angel. That was someone who appeared there out of absolutely nowhere, and he just held me down and he said, it's okay. It's okay. Going forward, it's going to be okay. Remember who you are. Like he just held me down. And I just like looked at him, but now like I looked at him, but I could not see his face. You know, like it sounds weird, but and then shortly after that, like people from the cafe, it was out in the rural area. There was like a little cafe and was at a T junction, and I had just turned, and then the car smashed. If I had been like 2 seconds, if I had turned 2 seconds earlier, like the person would have wiped me away. Yeah, and then my mum had a talk with me, and she was like, "You're in a very dark place, and God gave me a dream, and He said you need to make a choice. You need to make a choice, because the path that you're going down on is going to lead to death." And that was all that she said, and that was enough for me to like, okay. So I made that choice. I didn't go towards, because I was chasing a feeling the whole time of like,
right.
Oh, when I'm ready to go back to, you know, like to pick up my Bible again, to when I'm ready, then I will do it. But it's never about when you are ready within your emotions, because we are flesh and we're human. We are always going to feel things. But I had to make a choice, the same that I had done when I had first accepted Jesus. So I came back into my relationship with the Lord. And at that time, I got baptized. And at that same night, Kevin got baptized as well, because the both of us felt like we are leaving our old selves behind. And this is like where we draw the mark, you know. And yeah, shortly after that, we got married. And I would say it just felt like I'd come out of this a whole different planet. And God had put us on a whole different new planet. And His walk with us and our walk with the Lord and building onto this relationship has just led, like I can testify of so many things and the goodness of God, like who, you know, after that night, or after that, when we came out as like new beings, which to today, I'm like, there's just so much evidence there that I will never be able to turn my back intentionally around and walk away from that, you know? So it's really been, and it's been choices. Whenever I feel discouraged or in a certain way, it's like, what choice am I making? What is the choice? I can choose and wallop and be sad and be depressed or I can choose to, what does God's word say? Because that is what is truth. Yeah. So that was, yeah. And then it just led to all of this. So yeah, that's a bit of my journey where, and the first thing that God really worked with me on was securing my identity of who Letty, who are you? You know?
Yeah.
And it was so detailed that, like, I even found out, like, because it was certain things, like, oh, what is my DNA? Like, what blood group am I? You know, and what do I actually like? Not about what the crowd likes, because I was always chasing a crowd and just trying to be accepted, you know, but what do I actually like? And it started building confidence within who I am, you know, and that it is okay to be different. It is totally okay. Now I've got 3 beautiful boys who are all, like, they come from the same parents, but they all look so different, you know. And I do get, like, that just shows, like, the beauty and the diversity that don't worry about what people think or what people say, you know. God made us all different, but we still come from the same God, you know. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
So that was a whole mouthful. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
No, thank you.
I'm just trying to think, is anything I can sort of ask? So, do you feel like where you are now compared to where you were, you've obviously seen a lot of changes coming through all of that. And so you're at church at the moment. We go to the same church, and as I mentioned, you're doing the children. And has anything of what's happened to you emphasised the way you are towards everybody else, like how you treat others, how you love others? Have you got that in the back of your mind, like the upbringing you had? Is that present when you're interacting with people?
Most definitely, because I know how it feels like to not belong and to not be accepted and to be rejected, you know. So it's always something in the front of my mind, regardless of who this person is. You could be the president, you could be, like, you know, whoever sitting on the corner of the street. It's like that person was once upon a time a child who also aspired to big things and to greater things, and they also just wanted to experience love, and they also just wanted to belong in a place, you know. So that is always in my mind of, I would never want to be that person to have somebody feel not loved, you know. So, and that's been something, a revelation that God has put into my heart of, you are made of love. Your DNA contains love. So how can you not share that with somebody, you know? And how can you not have them see that as well? Yeah.
See, I think the same thing, not to make it all about me, but I think the same thing with bullying, because for myself, I was severely bullied as a child, because I've got trouble with my hand here and my thumb. And it really like sabotaged my self-esteem and everything like that. So even now today with me, I've got zero tolerance for bullying, especially when it comes to kids. If I see other kids bullying children, I just like stomp all over it, mate. It's like, no,
like you nip it,
yeah, like you don't treat others like that. So I see some similarities there. So thank you, Letty.
Thank you, Daryl.
Yes.
Yeah, it's always good to be that voice. Hey, we have to voice to others what we have experienced, so that that does not continue, you know. So yeah, we cannot stay quiet about it. Witness and testify.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's been, I think I've said this to Kevin as well, it's been really great to see you both integrate into the church and just dive headfirst into everything. And Kevin with his drumming and you helping with the kids and the worship team as well. It's actually, you guys are a bit of an inspiration, you know that, eh?
Oh, thank you.
You really are, both of you. So, yeah. Thank you very much. And thank you to your children who are all around us.
Yes.
One of which made a guest
appearance over there.
I don't know how much you'll be able to see of them, but anyway, they're all around, tiptoeing, sort of. Thank you, mate.
Awesome.
No problems, thank you. Thank you to you guys as well, and feel free to subscribe if you would like, and if you would like to donate to the channel, I have Buy Me a Coffee page. Did I say that right? Buy Me a Coffee page, link below in the description, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you. Thanks.